Hot guy I sold coffee to. I work as a barista in a coffee shop inside a larger store, and I'm one of the few male baristas there. Being openly gay, I wear pride shoes, have a pride flag attached to my name tag, and sport wristbands with rainbow designs and messages like Orlando Strong. The other day, while I was at the register, a gentleman approached me with a smile. He seemed to notice the pride flag on my name tag, though he didn't mention it right away. He told me he wasn't sure what to order and asked for my recommendation. Although I'm not a big coffee drinker, I know what drinks suit different tastes. As I chatted with him, I could tell he was paying more attention to me than to my suggestions, which was flattering. He was a shorter, well-built man with beautiful eyes and a nice beard. Definitely the kind of person who catches your eye. Eventually, he chose a super sweet iced drink, and I went to make it for him. While I was preparing his order, one of my coworkers leaned over and whispered, "I think that customer just took a picture of you." That raised a little alarm, but I brushed it off. When I handed him his drink, he smiled and pointed to the pride flag, asking, "I love that flag. When can I get one?" I laughed and told him I got it from a pride event a few years ago. Then he said, "And where can I get the person it's attached to?" I felt a rush of warmth and started to blush. But I tried to keep it professional. He took his drink and sat at one of the tables. As I went about my day, I couldn't help but glance over at him. It felt like he was always looking back at me. But then I noticed he hadn't taken a single sip of his drink, which was odd since it was iced. When I had a break, I wiped down some tables and stopped by his. I asked if he didn't like the drink, offering to make him something else. He handed it back and said he wasn't sure if it was too sweet, asking me to try it. I politely declined, mentioning I don't drink coffee. His questions began to shift. "Do you lift at all?" he asked. I replied, "Not really." Then he wanted to know how much I thought I could lift if I had to. I mentioned the job requirement was 50 pounds, so I could manage that. That's when the red flags started to pop up. His questions felt oddly invasive, as if he were sizing me up for something more sinister. I quickly wrapped up the conversation and returned to my tasks. As the hours passed, he remained at his table, still not drinking. Other employees and managers checked in on him, but he insisted he was perfectly happy. Occasionally he took phone calls, and I noticed someone on the other end of the store who seemed to be watching him. Feeling increasingly uneasy, I pulled the manager aside and shared my concerns. He agreed to keep an eye on the situation. As closing time approached, the man was still there. When I announced the store was closing soon, he approached the counter and asked if he could walk me to my car after my shift. I explained that closing duties would take a while, but he insisted he'd wait. I politely declined, and he asked when I worked next. I told him I was off for a couple of weeks, and he pressed, saying, "Well then I feel like I should walk you to your car, especially if I might not see you for a while." That was a hard no for me. I politely declined again, and eventually he left. After finishing my closing duties, I told one of my managers about the situation and asked if I could use the side exit instead of the main one. He agreed and offered to walk with me to my car. As I walked out with a couple of managers, I felt a sense of relief. But as I drove away, I noticed a large van with heavily tinted windows parked in front of the store. I couldn't be sure if my customer was in that van, but the whole situation felt ominous. I took a long, winding route home that night. So to the very hot guy I sold coffee to, let's not meet. Unless, of course, I misread everything, and you were just awkwardly interested in me. But just to be safe, let's not meet.